Hey everyone, so we have just left home. We are heading to Glencoe today to hike the Lost Valley. It's probably going to take us about 2.5 hours to get to Glencoe from where we live. I'm so excited. I have had this hike on my bucket list for so long, and Craig's actually, I thought he'd done it once before, but how many times have you done it?
600.
He's done it 600 times apparently.
I think this will be my 4th or 5th time.
Your 4th or 5th time. So I actually have a guide today and he is Scottish, so...
So we're going to die horribly.
No, I'm quite excited that Craig can just take the reins today and show me where to go, and I can just sit back and enjoy the ride. So we've just entered the Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park. This is where the scenery is just going to change a wee bit and it's going to be a bit more dramatic. Today the sun is shining, the weather is spectacular. I'm so relieved because I've heard that the Lost Valley, it requires like a little bit of a scramble, like you have to get on your hands, and not on your hands and knees, but you do have to climb up sections of it. So if it's slippery, obviously it becomes a lot more dangerous. But the weather is absolutely beautiful today. I'll show you guys a wee glimpse of what I'm currently looking at right now. So barely a cloud in the sky, beautiful. So Craig, you were telling me a really interesting fact that you read the other day. What was it?
Yes, a pig's orgasm lasts approximately 30 minutes.
That's not what...
Yeah, so apparently, and I've not fact checked this, but there's over 3,000 castles in Scotland, and if you were to visit one every weekend, it would take over 57 years to visit every castle in Scotland. So be selective about which castles you want to visit.
That is crazy. I think we should make it our life goal though to do that. So we have just arrived in Callander. We're driving through. We don't have time to stop today, but Callander is one of my favourite towns in Scotland, and it's a really good base if you are into hiking, because there are quite a few easy Munros in this area, and it's just a really cute wee Scottish town that has a bit of everything on offer. So we've just made a pit stop in at Tyndrum at the Green Welly stop, which is a really good place if you just want to stop and have a break, use the bathroom, and just buy some snacks and stuff before you continue on to Glencoe. It's absolutely rammed today, it's so busy. The car park is nearly full, and so it doesn't give me much hope finding a car park for the hike to the Lost Valley, because the car park for the Lost Valley hike is at a really scenic stop in Glencoe, so fingers crossed we can find a park. After you pass through Tyndrum, the scenery really starts to open up. You know you're approaching Glencoe when you see the towering mountain of Buchel Etive Moor in the distance. Driving through the glen is a breathtakingly bizarre feeling, as if you've descended into another world.
guy's just blocked it. This guy's gonna go.
This is crazy. So this is why you do not hike the Lost Valley in the middle of the day. Like, it is just rammed. So we managed to find a car park and we've just walked down the little trail that kind of leads to the start of where we begin the hike to the Lost Valley.
Yeah, getting parked was a bit of a problem today, so if you're going to do it, turn up early.
Yeah, don't turn up at like the peak time in the middle of the day.
Which is exactly what we did.
Yeah, so number one rule, don't do that. But the weather is lovely. There's a slight breeze, but there's like blue skies, a couple of clouds in the air, but we think the weather's going to hold for us today, which is amazing, especially when you're carrying expensive camera gear. You don't want to get that wet. So yeah, let's get started. So these are the three sisters, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to try and pronounce their names. So this one is Bain Hafta. The one next to it is pronounced Guam Achnach. And I don't know how to pronounce the third one, but I think it's pronounced Onach Dub. And you'll see just this little gully that runs up there. So the Lost Valley is basically just over that little dip, just in there. The Lost Valley is where the McDonald's of Glencoe would hide their rustled cattle. It was also used as a hiding place. After the Glencoe massacre, many McDonald's fled to the Lost Valley. Unfortunately, many died from exposure due to the harsh winter conditions. The hike is classed as moderate and takes between 2 to 3 hours. It follows a dried up, rocky riverbed, and you climb just over 300 metres to reach the valley. You can see now that the fern is starting to die off and turn into bracken. So you'll see this all over the hills in Scotland during winter and autumn. But in the summer it's nice and green, like that. So one thing that absolutely blows my mind is that clansmen from the Clan MacDonald would have walked this very path during the time of the Glencoe massacre, well, before obviously. But it's just insane to think I'm quite literally walking in their footsteps.
You want to get right through the bottom, that's what it's coldest.
It's really good.
Please don't let me film you plummeting to your death.
So we finally made it to the top. We're gonna sit down now and have a spot of lunch because after that walk uphill I'm dying for something to eat. But let me show you the view that we have over the Lost Valley. Enjoying the view? These are my favourite hiking snack, digestives, milk chocolate flavour. This is my little reward every single time I get to the top of a hill or complete a hike. Soon it was time to bid farewell to the Lost Valley and head back. We had a lovely view of Unach Egach, Britain's highest ridge, on the way down. So we just finished hiking the Lost Valley and we thought to reward ourselves we would pop into one of my favourite pubs in Scotland. It's called the Glencoe Inn and it has one of the most beautiful settings in Scotland. Let me show you our amazing view. After having a quick drink, we drove to the village of Glencoe to grab some supplies from the village shop. Standing over the village is the Pap of Glencoe. You can actually hike to the top and it has a spectacular view of Glencoe and the surrounding highlands. Next we were on our way to see an island off the shores of Glencoe before heading to our accommodation in North Connel. So on this island there are actually over 300 people buried here, most notably a lot of the chiefs of Clan MacDonald, one of which was Alistair McKeon, who was the clan chief when the Glencoe massacre happened. We've just checked into our accommodation and it's so cute. Let me show you guys around. You're kidding? Have they left us wine?
Why, hello.
Really?
It's wee Isla Negra.
So we just got back from dinner and we're now chilling out in our Airbnb.
We only go to the best restaurants in the whole of Oban.
So a bit of a screw up on our behalf. So we didn't know when we'd be arriving in our Airbnb and so we didn't really know what time we should book dinner for, so we just thought we would wing it. However,
Oban is the busiest place in the world.
yeah, so we called like about 10 different restaurants to see if we could get a seat and we couldn't get in anywhere, and so we just decided to go to one of the best chippies in Oban
And have a romantic fish supper in the front seat of the car.
In the car, but we did have
In the harbour, so it was
yeah, we had some nice views of the harbour. So, top tip: don't leave booking
a restaurant
until the last minute. Basically, I think the new way of travel in Scotland is you do need to plan in advance. So, Lost Valley. What did we learn today?
What did we learn today?
When I was reading up on it and doing some research, I did hear a couple of worrying things, and I thought, well, maybe this is quite an intense hike. But yes, I did, when I was doing my research on the hike, it did say that there had been a few fatalities of people hiking to the Lost Valley, and I can see how that would have happened after doing the hike, because it's just very rocky and stony all the way up. Like, there's a path, but it's just all like rocks, and they're all kind of like, it's like a massive staircase up to the Lost Valley. So I can see how there would have been fatalities, because there were some like sheer drops down a cliffside. If you were to like just misplace your foot and slip and you fell down the side of a cliff, like, obviously I can imagine how you would die from that. But but like when we were doing the hike, there was at no point that I felt scared, worried, anxious about anything. Like, it was a fairly easy hike, and there were people of like all ages and abilities.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth
doing this hike that we ran into today.
It's worth noting that we didn't do the kind of full extent of the hike as well. So we effectively walked from, well, initially we couldn't actually get parked in the car park that you're meant to park in. So we did have to park, you know, further up the road and walk down, which was pretty dodgy. So again, if you're looking at doing this particular walk, turn up early, or you're not going to get a car parking space. Yeah, you need to turn up really early to get a parking space.
But you know, like, it's so hard when someone says to me, like, when someone asks me, you know, how difficult is this hike, it's such a subjective answer, because everyone has differing abilities. However,
Exactly.
like, what I can say is that I did see like 7-8-year-olds, like I saw a family, we passed a family today that were hiking to the Lost Valley.
Yeah, the mum had trainers on, so you know.
Yeah, I saw a couple of people in trainers, which I would not recommend.
Yeah, we only saw them coming down, so it doesn't guarantee that they actually made it into the Lost Valley. There was a lot of other people with walking poles and, you know, pretty professional gear. So it's quite a varied walk. Like Yvette says, it's very kind of subjective in regards to how difficult some people will find it. At the start of the walk, it's kind of a nice pathway to get down. You know, you have to cross a burn, a river, to get to the other side to walk up the valley.
But you don't get your feet wet. There's like stepping stones.
Yeah,
I imagine
there's
if
a set of metal metal stairs to go down, and then from the other side of there is particularly kind of craggy pieces of terrain, which there are handholds and things to use as well. So it depends. Yeah, I mean, there was people of all ages doing it. There was kids. There was people, you know, in probably their 60s or 70s doing it. I had my mum and dad up it a few years ago. But you know, they're super young and fit and healthy and good looking.
I feel like if you are at least moderately fit, you have good hiking shoes, you know, you've got good equipment, and
a good day.
That includes clothing as well, and the weather is nice and you're doing it in summer and there hasn't been a lot of rain, so it's not as slippery. I feel like most people could do it. I just think if it's winter, then there's snow, it just increases the risk, because if you were to slip, you know, there were some rocks that, you know, obviously had been kind of polished down from people like sliding down or walking over them. So there were parts where we had to get down, like I had to get down on my butt and kind of like slide down to the next step. So I feel like if you've got mobility issues as well, it's probably not a very good hike. But I found it relatively easy.
It's not a particularly long hike. Sections of it can be fairly challenging in regards to the terrain more than anything else. There are bits where you'll need to be pretty sure-footed. If you've got a fear of heights, section parts of it won't be very good for you as well. So I would call it moderately difficult, because it's not overly long. You know, there are sections that are more difficult than others. It's effectively a dried out riverbed that goes up into the mountain. So yeah, again, very craggy, very rocky. you know, there is loose bits of kind of ground to deal with as well. So yeah, if you're going into it, just make sure you're properly prepared. Give yourself plenty of time.
Just do some research.
There is lots of people there. I mean, when you get into the actual Lost Valley itself, when we were up, there was plenty of people up camping. There was people playing rounders or softball, having barbecues and things like that. So it's a nice place to be. Like, I would like to actually stay the night up there because I think that the stars from there would be incredible. Like where we're staying tonight is just a blanket of stars. So
yeah, just in regards to our accommodation, like our accommodation is lovely. Like, I just love staying in like traditional Scottish cottages, and this is actually, it's an annex, so it is joined on to, like, the people who own this live in the house that's joined onto this, but it's like private, so we have our own doorway, our own bathroom, like we won't even see them, I think. It's lovely. It's private.
And it's got its own fire.
No, that I'm really happy with this Airbnb, and it was so cheap. Like, it was, I think it was £65 for just one night. But it's lovely and spacious.
Yeah, I mean, the guys that own it have done like a really nice job with the space that's available. And they've really thought of everything. Like, if you've forgotten something, like if it's forgot a toothbrush, there's spare toothbrushes in packets for you to take. There's a microwave, a fridge, an old 1980s SNES, which is amazing. That's going on after I've had another couple of beers. So sorry about enjoy your romantic night away. Cheers.